So last week I showed you some of the mistakes that I've made in the garden and things that just haven't gone right for me that weren't even my own fault. But this week we're going to do an update on the vegetables, and as you'll see, almost everything is doing great. Actually, super great. I'm just surprised at a lot of the growth that we're seeing here. So let's go take a look. The Brussels sprouts look like they're doing okay. They're starting to grow, growing up over the tomato cages I've put around them. Looks like a couple of leaves are still being nibbled on here and there. Doesn't seem as extensive as it did previously, but hopefully putting this insect netting over it will stop any new bugs from getting in, mostly. But yeah, they're putting on some new growth now, starting to rise up. So over the next few months, hopefully we'll get a couple of feet out of them and a nice stand of Brussels sprouts. The horseradish seems to enjoy its new digs, getting lots of new leafy growth on it. I have these two buckets on a wood plank. This one's actually on the ground, and I'm going to need to get something underneath it because I'm just worried about the roots making contact with the soil and establishing themselves. But otherwise, they're looking healthy right now. I mean, these are pretty big leaves here. I had a taste of one of the leaves and it tasted just like horseradish. Can't wait to harvest some of the roots. Garlic, still looking great. Don't see any signs of scapes just yet. But this is some amazing growth I'm seeing here on the garlic stalks themselves. So as I've said, I'm excited to see what we actually pull up when it's time to harvest them. And we still got months to go. The lettuce looks awesome. Getting some really good growth out of these. Heads are starting to form. You can see this tall cylindrical shape of them beginning to take shape. So it's nice that we got the growth beginning here. Potatoes are doing well, particularly the Sharpo Mira. They've really started filling out. As I said, we're seeing the formation of the flowers begin, and we're getting it on this one here and over there. Not everything is perfect. This is a Sharpo Mira, and while it's doing well, its neighbor not so much. This one, we've got just the one small plant there, though I can't remember if there's one back there, but since this one's positioned here towards the front, I would have assumed there is another one in the back. And this one just never bloomed, never sprouted. Not quite sure why. This Yukon is doing well, but that russet, not so much. But these Yukons are doing well here. Looking strong and healthy. The red Nordlands have all sprouted and are doing well. And we got a new plant bursting through here. This one does have two plants here. Most of the others only seem to have one right now, although that one actually has two plants there, unless that's a single stalk that's split. The white superiors looking really good. And this one just doesn't look like it's going to make it. This was the one that started and then just failed. Not quite sure why. Back here, these are the Caribe. Looking fairly good. Now these are the ones that are supposed to produce pretty quickly. So we're going to see what happens with these. Like 60 days. We're going to see. That one back there finally broke through. And it looks like we got another one coming through back there. So we'll obviously keep an eye on all of these. The russets that we planted in buckets look like they're coming along. These finally broke through. So we got 2 plants there, and we got one that's come through over here. So just a little bit of patience, and they came through. Of course, the bucket where we flooded it for 2 weeks, I don't think that's gonna do anything. Standing in water for 2 weeks just isn't healthy. Wait, what? What? No. Okay, that was just a leaf. I was almost shocked. But yeah, so this is going to be reconstituted for another potato. We got our second crop of potatoes chitting indoors, and they'll be planted out in another week or so. I'd say it's safe to say the russets that we planted in the garden are doing fantastic. I think it's also safe to say I definitely planted them too close together. This should probably be like 1 row right here, and we've obviously got 2. But we'll see how they pan out. Got them under an insect netting, so hopefully there won't be any issues with insects. These potatoes are just starting to press up against the netting, so we may have to devise a new cover very quickly. Tough to see now in a lot of the heavy growth suddenly from the neighboring plants, but our peas are coming along and doing quite well. They're starting to stretch up, so I want to put a support in, and that's why also we're going to need to remove this insect netting here, because the peas are going to want some support very soon. Again, peas can latch onto each other and they'll keep each other upright, but I'd like to have some external support for them as well. Well, the freaking rutabaga is in growth mode here. It just suddenly took off, and it just started, like the leaves started filling out and really spreading. So I'm excited about what we're gonna find very soon in terms of the root beginning to develop. We still got some time with it, of course, but this is some nice leaf growth that we're seeing here. Cabbage is doing well, and probably out of all the vegetables, these are the ones that are going to benefit most from the insect cover, because that cabbage moth fly, or the cabbage moth, won't be able to attack them. And they just, I mean, their leaves just look really healthy, and they're looking really, really good. The broccoli calabrese also looking very healthy all of a sudden. But do we have a problem? Is this the formation of the head, or is it bolting? I'm opting towards bolting. We got down here, you can see a formation of the flowers, the florets. Over here, almost all of the plants, not this one yet, but this one is starting to develop them. Not here yet, not yet, not yet. So I'm not sure if we're going to see bolting because of the heat that we had, that week-long heat, or if it's going to start forming a head very soon. Prefer the latter, but we'll have to see how it goes. The Waltham broccoli that we planted, that one I guess we're going to lose. This one bounced back, and this one's still going strong. So they're doing well over here. No signs of bolting on them. The Waltham broccoli under my fruit trees also is looking good. And as you can see, the trees are starting to leaf out now. So maybe too much shade, we'll see. But otherwise the plants are looking healthy. The sugar beets are up and growing and coming on strong. Though we've got squirrel activity in here, back there, wreaking a little havoc on our plants. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on it. See, they dig it up. So I guess it's good that I've got the ones growing indoors, because the squirrels aren't cooperating here. Now you can see the onions are really starting to work their way up, putting on new growth, and all the way down the line. I think we've only lost one, maybe two. And as I'm looking quickly, I'm only seeing one lost plant, and that's right there. So of the 80 that we planted, only losing one, I think that's pretty good. The onion sets that we planted, they're looking really good. They've putting on a lot of new growth, new leaves in here. So they should produce some nice bulbs for us later. The carrots have sprouted, but not nearly as much as I would have hoped. It's like we've got like one there, there, got a couple here, various sprinkled around in here. So I did take the burlap off, and I mean, some of them might have gotten beat down, the seedlings, with the rainstorm that we had. But I'm going to be planting another barrel of carrots. I'm going to use new seed that I bought, a Danvers 126, which is a variety that's, according to Rutgers University, is well suited for New Jersey. I mean, the Nantes is also well suited to New Jersey. The turnips are looking very good. These are the ones that were direct sown right here, and they really putting on some nice growth now. The squirrel digging doesn't seem to have really affected them too badly. So we've got, I think 100% of the seeds that we planted have come in. We have a carrot growing right there. Could be. Not quite sure how that would have gotten in there. But these are doing well. Right next door are the ones that we transplanted in, and the ones that survived are doing well. As I said, we lost a couple right up in this row here, but everything else is growing, is taken. So we'll have a nice spring harvest of turnips. Beets are looking good. They've mostly all sprouted. I'm seeing a hole in this area here and maybe here, like right around in here. But just about everywhere else, the beets are up and running, so that's good to see. And we'll end up planting the ones that we got growing indoors right there. These are the beets that we got growing indoors, and they're looking pretty good too. A couple didn't sprout on the Detroit dark red, and it looks like maybe a couple of the Chiagia didn't sprout either, there and there. But otherwise, we got a lot here, so we'll be able to plant them out in a couple of weeks. Our eggplant is coming along. We got 3 growing, And I can't decide whether or not I'm going to go with 1, 2, or all 3 plants. We'll see how it goes. But they're looking good. The radishes are looking good. They're starting to put out their first set of true leaves. These are the French breakfast. And so we got this one finally came through. So we'll see how they go. But the Crimson Giants are looking real good. So we'll have some potatoes with them anyway. My spinach is a disappointment. And not sure why it didn't sprout. So I'm gonna plant another crop of the spinach, because spinach can take some time, but this seems to be too much time. My volunteer tomato, though, is doing great. And it looks like whatever was chewing on the cauliflower started chewing on whatever this is, whether it was a spinach plant or what, I'm not sure, but it had more leaves going up and now it's gone. Speaking of the cauliflower, hanging on, but I'm not expecting any cauliflower this year. Disappointed. And in the fall, we'll have to try something different, because this is unacceptable. Very disappointed with this crop. And as I've said, I'm just surprised that there's something in here chewing them up, and I just don't know what it is. Indoors in the grow room, and not surprised, but the butternut and the spaghetti squash aren't doing anything yet. So I bought new seed. I can only find butternut squash seed, no spaghetti squash. So I'm gonna plant a new thing of butternut and see how they perform. As I've said, you don't need to plant to start squash indoors because they're a fast-growing plant. But I thought that we might have problems with these two just because they were the Baker Creek seeds and 3 years old, and they just didn't respond. So, they could still grow, but I don't want to waste time. These slips are doing good. Putting on some nice healthy growth. The stalks look nice and sturdy. We'll get a couple of plants. Maybe. But yeah, they're looking good. Although I'm not sure what's going on here. If that's just the variegation on the leaf or something else, because it looks like down here and there, it doesn't look like aphids or bugs, but it doesn't look healthy either. So we might not get as many slips as we thought from this. And we've got the slips finally starting in these sweet potatoes. You can see them coming up there. And one started on the potato right there. And the angels sing. Tomatoes looking good. Coming along, starting to put out their first set of true leaves. Those are the Romas. And the cherries are looking good. So despite 1 or 2 things like the cauliflower and the spinach not sprouting, almost everything else is looking really healthy out there and really starting to put on some strong growth, which is good to see. There's always something to do in the garden though, whether it's to feed them, water them, not overwater them, or to prick out plants to pot up, transplant new things into the garden, or start preparing for the fall crop that'll come in a month or so. But if you want to see what we were doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell, and that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.